Alright guys, I just wanted to talk through a couple more examples just so you had a reference as you're working on these last few problems. We're going to do number 5 from the notes today. Remember, when we're talking about domain, we want to talk from the smallest x value in the graph to the largest x value in the graph. There are no arrows in this graph. That means there's not going to be any infinities involved. You're only going to have infinities if the graph continues on and on and on. Right, so for my smallest x value, well, side to side, the lowest x is going to be on this side, on the left, and that is where x is -1. So it's going to start where x is -1. And then I stop having graph here, because it changed direction, and that's where x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this says all of my x values are between -1 and -5. We can write this in this notation. The smallest number is -1, the biggest number is 5. We're talking about x values and we use the less than. So this says x is greater than -1 but less than -5. The same is going to go true with our range. We want to know our smallest y value possible. So our graph stops and turns around right here. So this is going to be, it does not continue down forever. That y value there is -1, 2, 3. So the very smallest y value is -3. The biggest y value, the graph doesn't go beyond that point. The biggest y value is 1 to +3. All of my y values are between -3 and +3. And I can write it in the same interval notation. -3 is less than or equal to y, because we're talking about the range, is less than or equal to +3. Alright, so now our last one that I'm going to talk about for the video today is this guy, and I want you to try the other ones. For domain, our x values, so we got arrows involved. This means we definitely have infinity signs going on. So let's take a look. Domain is the very lowest x value, so going to the left. It's never going to stop because there's this arrow saying it's going to the left all the time. So negative infinity is going to be my smallest x value. On the right hand side, it's never going to stop going right because there's an arrow. So that means on the right it's going forever and ever and ever. So all the x values are between -infinity and +infinity, which means all real numbers. Either of these written answers are acceptable. The last way you could write this is you could say -infinity is, we're talking about domain, so we have an x, and the largest is +infinity. We just use a regular less than sign because you cannot be equal to infinity because it's not a number, it's a concept. For our range, let's take a look. Remember, we read from the bottom to the top, so the bottom of the graph, there's an arrow. It's going down forever and ever and ever. Well, y values down are -infinity. On the top of my graph, it is got an arrow again. It's going up forever and ever and ever, so it's going to go into +infinity. So our range is never ending from the bottom up. That is all real numbers. And we could use this same sort of interval notation. -infinity is the smallest, infinity is the largest. We're talking about y values because it is a range, and you can't be equal to infinity, so we're just going to use our less than symbols. Hopefully this will help you if you've forgotten some of the stuff for the weekend. We'll see you on Tuesday. Make sure you finish up through question number 10 for the homework. Happy weekend!